So, you want to learn the charge blade, but you have no idea where to start, no idea what to do. Don't worry, it is a very confusing weapon. You're not just dumb, the game does a very poor job of explaining it. But don't worry, I've been using it since Worlds. I like it. It's a confusing weapon, but the payoff is definitely worth it. So give me about 5 minutes of your time, and I'll go through the basics with you. So, where to start, but the most important part, the file system. The file system, again, at first, very confusing, but once you get the hang of it, super simple. And there are two types of files, impact and elemental. I prefer impact. That one gives you stun and exhaust on your file attacks, or elemental, which is just purely more elemental damage. You build up the files in sword mode. You can do this by basic attacking, perfect blocking, or the fastest way, you hold down stationary B move, wait till you flash red, and then let it go. That's the fastest way to build up those files. It takes a red gauge to fill up all 5 files, and you can overcharge these files by again just getting it back up to a red gauge. But what I love to do is there's a perk called magazine or load shells, and basically that gives you the overcharged files on just a red gauge. Now the other weird mechanic, cashing out on these files. There are 2 ways to cash out on them. You can either put them in your shield by just canceling the amped elemental slash with elemental roundhouse slash, or when you're going to store these files, just continue to hold down B and then you'll do a guard boost, just put them all in your shield. Now you should always be in this mode because it adds or boosts your file type to shield moves and axe moves, and just overall makes those files, whenever you're cashing out of them, just all the more powerful, and gives you access to your big cash out move, super amped elemental discharge. Now if you ask me, I say you don't use this at every opportunity, but it is still a great move to have to just add your effect onto the monster. Now the axe gauge. What makes the axe gauge so strong and super important, I think it's called like savage axe mode. What makes that super strong is it makes your files last longer. So normally in axe mode, every hit will use a file, but now it drops it down to like every 4 or 5 hits uses a file, while still letting all the attacks use the file effect. Very simple to get into this mode. You can either A, break a monster's wound, or B, perfect guard and attack, press Y, it should say savage axe mode, and then boom, you're in it. I recommend doing this whenever the monster's at like the end of his combo string, just to get the savage axe mode, so you gotta worry about once you build up the files. Now you gotta get it, just always, again, just have it on super easy, super reliable. And saving the worst for last, the sword gauge. This one, it makes it so that your attacks don't bounce off the monster and adds a slight effect to your sword moves, but I feel like you should barely be in sword and shield mode, especially if you want to do damage, because the axe's attacks are like insanely quick. They're quicker than you realize, and especially if you dodge out of the end lag. Now of course your best friend during hunting is going to be getting out there and just getting experience. I know this might not have been the most in detail, in-depth guide, but all I can do is give you the basics and just let you run free with them. And that's it, hunters. Happy hunting.
Memories that made those days sublime.